What's up, Bilal? VIP member in the house. Actually, changed the name of the membership. It's now Core. I was confusing with the other VIP membership on the POW Group private community. So thank you for being a YouTube member. And thanks for joining the live stream. And welcome, everybody. It's Rod with POW Group, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. It is Friday. Happy Friday, September 12th. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. We'll give it another half a minute or so for people to jump on, and then we'll jump right into today's live stream. I see we have a ton of people joining. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started here in about 10 seconds. All right, once again, happy Friday, everybody. It's Rod with POW Group. We're going to get started with the live stream here today. We're going to take a look at Tilray. We'll just hang out. It's Friday. I got a beer, actually, that I haven't cracked yet. And yeah, if you got a beer, beverage, can of beverage, whatever you got, break it out and we'll have some fun. We'll take a look at the price chart, though. We did defend key support today and looking good. So overall, the market is frothy, the broader market, so benefiting from that. And we'll see what happens next week. We still have a bearish continuation pattern, though, on the daily time frame. But if when in doubt, zoom out, look at the weekly time frame. There's no major red flags whatsoever on the weekly, and we still have tons of weekly bull flags across the sector, not just on Tillray. There's one on MSOS. There's pretty much on every single major tier 1 and tier 2. So like I said, bulls defended key support today at $1. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future Tilray videos or whenever I post new content. And as always, this is not financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. You can follow us over on X as well, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPal. And full disclosure, I do own Tilray. It's my largest MJ portfolio holding. So we'll take a look at the chart here, and then we'll jump into the chat, get an overall consensus of how everybody's doing. We could see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross here on the hourly time frame, which is looking pretty good. And it's a bit of an inverse head and shoulders forming as well. So we could potentially form a right shoulder into next week, somewhere around that $9, $8 area, and then see that follow through of the EMA 12 and 26 bull cross. But if you look at the 2-hour time frame here, I mentioned we had a descending triangle, and we pretty much made that target. We were only about 6% away. So that's why I was of the thinking that today could be the day where we drop below $1. It's still not completely out of the woods yet, but we did have on the hourly time frame 3 bearish engulfing candles as well, right at resistance. So that was very telling in terms of major resistances here and lower highs. And then we had that horizontal line of support, which ends up being your descending triangle. And typically these just break to the downside. Whereas if you invert it, it's the opposite. It would be an ascending triangle where you have a series of higher lows with a horizontal line of resistance, and then generally you break to the upside. But that wasn't the case because we are regular scale and it's a descending triangle. So what I want to share with everybody here as well on the daily time frame, this is why I said we're not completely out of the woods yet, is because we still have the EMA 12 and 26 bear cross lining up. It's still quite a ways away before we see that cross. So it's possible that we continue a little bit of a relief rally here and tighten those EMAs up into next week and then see the cross. Again, I've been saying for a while now, how is it going to react when Canopy Growth enacts their second reverse split? They're seeking shareholder approval to do a share consolidation again for the second time, similar to Aurora. We know that VFF was warned twice. They regained organic compliance twice. Tilray was warned once. They regained compliance in record time. They didn't even need to get an extension. And Canopy is following in the footsteps of Aurora, where they've already each done reverse splits, and Aurora's done 2. Canopy's looking to do the second one. So if that were the case, how's it going to affect the rest of the sector? Probably not going to be great, right? So at this point, if we look at the daily time frame, I wouldn't really use that as a lower high. It was only 4 pennies. So we'll go from here to there. The daily, because that wasn't much of a pivot there or a bounce. So this daily bear flag did confirm, and we're looking at a move down to around 90 cents. So that's why I was saying we were looking at somewhere around 95 to 90 cents. We're not completely out of the woods yet. We need to defend that $1. At this point, it's just very simple, right? We just need to close above $1 on the daily time frame, on the weekly time frame, then to maintain our bullish momentum. Because if we do drop below $1, we could easily wick down to 90 cents in a hurry, and that would probably put us into daily oversold territory, which, if anybody's looking for entries on Tilray, I heard people in the POW Group private community today saying they hope it goes down to 50 cents so they can buy more. I'm not really in that camp. I've endured enough bloodiness and bear market for the last 5 years, so I'm ready to go to the moon. So my bags are packed. Will I add again if we drop down to 50 cents? Absolutely, I would. And again, I've been waiting, really focusing on my crypto portfolio. Once that tops out, then I'm going to rotate 80 to 90% of those profits. I'll probably sell 80 to 90% of my crypto bags, and then I'll rotate 10 to 20% of those profits into more beaten down MJ. So I would welcome a little bit of a dip, but yeah, I mentioned this as well in the previous video. This could be a head and shoulders on the daily time frame, and if that were to confirm, it's still a little early. Just as a rough idea, that a rough example, that would put us down around 65 cents. So still a little early, but if we do bounce here on the daily time frame and we get up to around $1.30 and then start to pull back, come down, lose $1, that would confirm that head and shoulders. So again, still very premature at this point. But yeah, it's again, we're dependent on news at this point. No news is bad news, because we're just going to continue to fade. That's what I've been saying for a while now, and that's been the overall theme so far. One major red flag as well is MSOS just confirmed a daily head and shoulders and a daily downtrend. And if you ignore that upper wick there, it's a daily bear flag. So it's a very similar setup to what I just said on Tillray, right? It's just MSOS is a little further along, and its daily EMA 12 and 26 bear cross is very close. So it's looking like that's going down to around 379. So not great to see that. That increases the odds that Tilray, I mean, obviously if Tilray had some news specific to itself, that would change things. But, you know, if we don't get any news, if we don't get any like Tilray news, rescheduling news, we're probably just going to continue to fade and follow in the footsteps of MSOS. But again, when in doubt, zoom out, look at the weekly time frame. I know it's easy to fixate on those lower level time frames. But if we go here to the weekly time frame and we take our measured move, again, we're holding key support so far. We're right on the 0.5. But again, if we closed, look where we closed the week. I said we want to close the week over $1 is what we were looking at, the most important. And as you can see, we closed like right at that key level. So typically, we've been seeing this a lot lately. Actually, did I adjust this for? No, I did not. That's why it's different. There we go. Perfect. So we're right at the 0.382 fib. That's what happened. I knew I wasn't going crazy. So sometimes I'll switch back and forth between fib levels based on log scale. But as you can see, we held that 0.382 fib perfectly. So as of right now, we're forming a lower wick. This is looking good. This is looking fantastic, to be honest. MSOS, same thing. We're coming up on that 0.382 fib. That's at 398. But realistically, again, at that 379 level, if we hold that, then the weekly bull flag still remains intact. And if we confirm on MSOS, we're looking at around 1158. And if Tilray confirms a weekly bull flag, and we held that key support, that's an absolute perfection back test there of the 0.382 fib. But we'd be looking at around 290. So another great way to use the fib levels and bull flags as entries. If you miss this big move here from the falling wedge, bullish RSI divergence breakout here, and the falling wedge breakout, the EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, all signs were pointing to, you know, quite a bit of upside and momentum shifting back to the bulls. If you missed that move here, you had a weekly high or low here, which was a weekly bull flag. If you missed that one, you have another weekly bull flag. And again, if you're only looking at Tilray, you're not getting the full picture. And look at VFF. VFF just did what Tillray's looking to do. So that increases the odds that Tillray's probably going to see it as well. We went from weekly oversold. We had, EMA 12 and 26 bull cross. We had a weekly uptrend confirm and a weekly bull flag. Then we had another weekly bull flag, and now we have a third weekly bull flag on deck on VFF. So that's potentially $7 in the cards on VFF. So this is pretty much the exact playbook. And what you can do is you can just go over here, grab your bars pattern, and go from the low there to the high, and then we'll copy that. We'll go over to Tillray, and it's pretty much the exact same thing. So if we go from here, and we'll have to adjust it a little bit. So you can see here was a dip, and actually we can adjust that a little bit more. Running out of room here on my chart. So yeah, you're looking at right about there. So that's pretty much the exact same, right? We had our low, we had our high, consolidation, weekly high or low, bull flag, high, weekly consolidation, bull flag, looking for the higher high. This could potentially see us upwards of $6 if that were to come into play. So I would maybe just do it a little bit more conservatively. I think that right there probably would make the most sense, and that would put us somewhere around that $6 to $7. But again, the weekly bull flag, we'd be looking at $2.90. But if we get over $2, folks, things are gonna $2 or $3. Like this could easily be back to $5 in no time, right? Like short squeeze, like you wouldn't believe. We also had the daily the daily golden cross, which I mentioned. Typically, these are lagging well, they are lagging indicators. So typically, we see a pullback after the cross, and then we go again and again. We'll just look at VFF, and it's the same thing. We had the golden cross, we pulled back, held it as support, went again. So something similar on Tilray forming. And if anybody has any questions, anybody isn't sure about any of these technical analysis terms, let me know. It's definitely not something you're going to learn in like a week or a month or a year. It took me many, many years before it, and I thought I understood what I was doing. And then one day I was like, oh wow, like I'm pretty sure what I thought was correct was not even remotely close. So it's like learning a new language, really. And then you just got to get familiar with it. But yeah, if we remove this fib tool here, you can see it's pretty much verbatim, right? So let's see if we can follow in the steps of VFF and make our way up the stairs here and get closer to that $3, maybe even $5 here in a hurry. What else are we looking at? Monthly time frame. So, and I mentioned this too on a ton of videos. I said we hadn't bounced in a whole year. So we had this lower high here back in July of 2024. We went literally 12 months, so a whole year, with every candle being a lower high, lower than the previous candle. There was this one candle here in November of 2024 where we went from a high of 177 to 182. Well, it's only 5 pennies, so I'm not really considering that much of a bounce or a pivot. So continued from there, bleeding, lower high. Every single time was a lower high each candle. So I said the second we start the monthly bounce, we're probably going to see a monster move. So if you just entered on this candle here where we started the monthly bounce in July, so the key resistance would have been, okay, May's done, look at June. Okay, if in June we break the high of May, enter long. Didn't do it, okay, June's over. Okay, now we look at July, break the high of June, enter. And if you would have taken that play, that would have been 46, the high of June. As soon as we broke 46, you could have entered in July, and you would have had 237% of upside. So again, this is why you don't have to be a complete expert. If you just look at this chart and you say, okay, and it's the monthly time frame, right? If this was the 1 minute chart, this might only be half a percentage gain or a percentage gain, right? But since it's the monthly chart, these patterns, when they break, they tend to be very explosive. So, and this could be one massive inverse head and shoulders forming as well on the monthly time frame. If we got back up to around $3 and then stalled there, so we'll see what happens here. But yeah, like you could be the most elementary chartist, technical analysis, technician, whatever you want to call it, and you could just say, okay, literally for the last 12 months, every single high has been lower than the previous candle. So when a pattern forms that long, it's just like, it's like putting, so much air into a balloon. If you put too much air into the balloon, eventually it pops, right? So it just, something's got to give eventually, right? And again, you don't have to like be an expert with regards to technical analysis. You don't have to be an Elliott wave expert or something like that. It's just, looking at these clear signals and understanding that, we're probably going to see a massive move if that were the case. It's not guaranteed, but again, factoring in the time frame. If it's the weekly time frame, okay, well, maybe this bounce wouldn't have been 230% or 300%. Maybe it would have been somewhere around 100%, right? Because it's the weekly time frame. Or the daily time frame, maybe to be, if there was 12 days in a row with a lower high, maybe it would only be, 25% gain. But when it's on the monthly, for example, imagine if we were on the 3-month chart and every single candle was a lower high for 12 candles in a row. Well, the thing could easily go up 1,000% if that were the case. So I know it's, when people look at the charts, they get overwhelmed. I know it's very daunting. It's very overwhelming. And just, like I said, it's like learning a new language, right? Anytime you learn a new language, it's like, oh my God, this is so hard and you want to give up. And the difference is here is you can not only prepare yourself financially, you can also prepare yourself mentally, emotionally. If you know that and you want to try to be unbiased as possible, right? All of us want Tilray to go to $100 yesterday, but when you're looking at the chart, you want to try to be unbiased as possible. Like, you don't own anything, right? You're just looking at it from a pure technical point of view. And I know it's, I get people all the time saying like, oh man, can you explain this more and that more? And like, I couldn't come, if I went on here and did a 10-hour live stream, I wouldn't even get 10% of all of what's in my brain, right? Like, it's impossible. And quite often than not, like, you just have to do it, right? You have to be inside the chart. You have to be learning this every day or two, right? It's not like you have to spend the whole day, but just a few minutes, 5-10 minutes a day, every other day, and just try to, even if you're just tuning into my videos, just try to get familiar with all of the terminology, and then eventually, just one day, it'll make more sense, right? But in terms of leaders on the day today, we had King Tilray leading at the top, followed by VFF and High Tide. High Tide has earnings on Monday, I believe. Monday. Oh, it says Monday, September 15th, which Monday is the 15th, but then I thought it said the 16th over here. Yeah, it says 16th on NCV. So, yeah, not sure. Either way, we'll see what happens there. Not expecting it to really move or really impact the sector too much. Again, the sector's waiting on a rescheduling announcement or something, right? If we don't get something as big as that or bigger, then we're probably just going to continue to fade. Simple as that. And let me know in the comments, how's everybody liking the Tilray every single day videos? It was insane how many people wanted me to do a video every day. I was like, oh, if 10 or 20% of people say it, then maybe, but like literally anybody who commented about it, I would say 95% of people were like, yeah, give us one every day. But finishing off an energy drink here, and then I'm going to crack this beer, and we'll hang out for a bit. It's a peach sour ale from Annex from Calgary. Super. I haven't tried this one yet, but it's a great brewery out of Calgary. Calgary makes a friggin' wicked beer. But yeah, Tilray, if you're listening, get some beer up here. Jump into the chat. But yeah, I've got a few things like shock tops here, but it was sold out last time I went to the store. And yeah, I just don't think they have the distribution. It's at one of the taps, though, at a restaurant nearby, or I guess it's more like a bar. But yeah, it's on tap there, but I don't really see it too much. I think they really need to focus on expanding Canada. Bilal says, hey, what's up, guys? Hopefully good news coming soon. That would be awesome. Like I said, we're basically just at a standstill and slow fade until we get some sort of rescheduling update, right? If it's, and who knows, maybe they say, oh, we're going to do Schedule 2 instead of Schedule 3. I doubt that, because that's not really what HHS's recommendation was. Maybe they'll attempt to deschedule. There was some news today. Let me just bring up the POW group community here. House Republicans move to block Trump MJ rescheduling. So again, they don't make it easy, right? They're gonna hit us with all the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But again, like, are we really that concerned about what happens, like, in the now, right now, today, and tomorrow, and yesterday? Like, again, let's go back to the fall. There was two presidential tickets, right? Two presidential candidates were promising major reform. One side of the aisle said we want to legalize it federally and make it, recreational, legalize recreational at the federal level. So deschedule it effectively. And the other side of the aisle said we support rescheduling, safer banking, states' rights, Florida Amendment 3. They want it. So, like, do we really care? I think we have enough information to know that this isn't going to remain the case forever, right? Eventually, the dam is going to break. We're approaching. It's like going to a piece of concrete and hitting it with a massive, a jackhammer or a sledgehammer, I guess would be a better analogy. And eventually, something's going to break, right? And I would say, it's hard to say. Like, I would say rescheduling is the most likely scenario, but obviously they're not going to stop there, right? It's not going to be. It's a stepping stone, and it's going to make it easier to deschedule it. But again, another thing that we have to be aware of is, do you really think they're going to fully legalize it and deschedule it before the American companies uplist? Right? Would that make sense? So, if you look at any major sector, any major new industry, it's always the Wall Street banks. Nothing happens in the world without the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, the Morgan Stanleys of the world, right? Your BlackRocks, etc. So if they can't participate, if the U.S. names aren't listed on U.S. major exchanges, I think that has to happen first before full-blown legalization, because they wouldn't want to miss out on the hype and that run up, right? It would just be, it would make 2018 highs on Canadian MJ look like child's play, right? So I think, if we do see uplisting, that'll be a very big clue that descheduling and full-blown legalization in the U.S. is probably not that far away. But I do think that we're going to get rescheduling. I think we'll get safer banking, uplisting that I see in the NASDAQ, and then an attempt to deschedule. And that has to come from Congress, right? There's no one person, one party, whatever. It has to be Congress. All right, so before we jump back in here, I want to try this new beer out. Yeah. Man. Strong beer. Peach Sour Ale. 5.7. All right, let's get into some poison. All right. Cheers. If I had a Tilray beverage, I would have cracked that, but I don't have one right now. All right, see what you got, Annex. Oh, yeah. Oh. See, this is why I love Tilray so much. It's like, what's not to love? Cannabis, craft beer. Not really into the spirits and all that jazz, but yeah, this is really good. They also make a, what is it? Cherry Bing sour. Oh my god, it's good. Try that out. Oh yeah, that's freaking delicious. Wow. I almost didn't see it too. I was like gonna pick up another. It was like a cranberry sour, and ended up picking up. I was like just about to leave, and then I saw it in the corner of my eye, and I was like. But again, Tillray, we got to get some of your craft beer up here. Love to try it. Anytime, bro. I love that you're doing videos daily on this. Then, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the support. I'm glad everybody's enjoying the videos daily. I just want to, I want to cover the sector as much as I can as well. But I also want to, I want to do what most people want because, yeah, I get people all the time commenting like, "Hey, Tilray video today, Tilray," and I'm like, "Oh, I feel bad because I'm doing another video," and you know, so many people are like, "Hey, we just want Tilray," so it's like, "Oh, okay, well, how about we try something different." Long time listener, first time chatter. Keep up the good work, says Sir Pickup. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you were able to join the stream, and yeah, appreciate the support. Thank you for listening. Big spike pre-market had me ready for the day. Yeah, the pre-market, you don't want to pay attention to that. So essentially, they do all kinds of nonsense. It's low volume as well, so it's very easy for the price to move. So what I normally do is I only look at pre-market like 10 to 15 minutes before the bell rings. So 15 to 10 minutes before the stock market opens, then look at the pre-market, and generally that is what you're gonna see. If you're looking at it like an hour or 2 hours or even a half an hour before the market open, it's a good chance that it's going to be drastically different by the time it opens, especially if there's a big move right from where it closed the previous day. If it's, if it closed at $1 and it's at, $1.02, well, pre-market was probably going to open around $1, right? But if it closed at $1 and it's at 120 pre-market 2 hours before the open, it's probably going to make its way back down to like 105, closer to that $1 area. Same thing on the downside too, but more so the upside. I usually see it more. It usually happens more when the price is up and then it comes down. If the price is down, because you don't need a whole lot of volume to go up, but you need a lot of volume to go down. All right, so that's just the way the markets work too. Markets are designed to trend up and to the right. Hello there. There was a pre-market spike today because of the past bill, I guess, but went down again. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even see what was the. To be honest, I don't even look at pre-market anymore, and it's not even going to be a thing in due course here. They've already started working on it. Ondo Finance is working with it. I think on Ethereum, you've got Robinhood, you got Coinbase looking to do tokenized stocks. BTCC, a crypto exchange that I use, they have tokenized versions of stocks on their futures, perpetual futures. So you can buy like MicroStrategy, you can buy Apple, tokenized version, and you can trade futures, perpetual futures. It's just a little different than spot, but we're already seeing it, right? It's all over the place. And yeah, eventually there's tons of other companies working on it too, like eToro. I think they were one of the first, if not the first. But there's so many looking to tokenize, so eventually you're not going to see an opening and closing bell. It's going to be 24/7, 365, always on markets, right? Similar to crypto. So that's where we're going. That's why crypto was created in the first place, we have the internet of knowledge and information. Now we're going into the internet of value, where money can eventually go, taking from days to move or weeks to move to seconds, right? It's similar to information. And with that technology, with that innovation, you're going to see stocks tokenized. You're going to see real estate tokenized, right? You'll be able to buy 0.01% of a house, right? There's already companies doing it. So, and it's going to, like, think about it. Think of where we are today. What's the narrative? No one can afford a house. Well, guess what? Q blockchain, here you go. You can buy 1% of that home now, right? And then you can just democratize it and make it available to everybody. Like Tesla and fractionalized ownership. You never used to be able to buy one share of Amazon, one share of Tillray, one share of Tesla. You had to buy one share or two or whatever. You can buy like 1.5. Now you can buy 1.5. You can buy 0.1% of a share or 0.1 share, right? Whatever you want. And people look at this and they're like, oh, that crypto stuff is, and Tilray even said, we're looking to accept crypto. We're looking to use AI. These are all coming together perfectly, folks. And anybody who says that crypto is just magic internet money or whatever, like whether or not you believe in Bitcoin, that's one thing. But I don't hold Bitcoin. I'm not a huge believer in Bitcoin, right? It was the first. It's like the dial-up internet, right? But at the end of the day, you can't deny the fact that it's changing the way money works and how the world works. And it's either get on board or get out of the way, because it doesn't do anybody any good to just ignore it, right? You can't ignore it. Look at what happened to Blockbuster when they ignored the digital revolution, right? Well, again, you'll just pigs get slaughtered all the time, right? So if you're just a complete ignorant to it, you know, and you think that it's like the internet, right? No one thought the internet. I remember watching videos. Not like from when I was a kid, but I remember like recently in the last few years looking at videos going back in the archives, and people were making fun of people who were talking about email and stuff. And they're like, what are you talking about? We have a fax machine. Like, why? We have the mail. Why would we ever want to send this magic internet information letter? It's like, so just people don't understand where the world's going. And if you did 5 seconds worth of research, you would know that, yeah, it's here to stay. So, holy crap. Did we hit... No, that couldn't have been today. Let me go... What time frame am I on here? Oh, what's going on? Just 1 second here. Tillray. Yeah, what was the high of pre-market? We go down into... I don't know what's going on with my platform here. Oh, it was 120. Looks like 120 was the high of pre-market. So, I mean, we hit 115 was the high of the day, right? Am I sharing my screen still? Yeah, so it was 120 the high of pre-market, and then the high of regular trading was 115. So yeah, five pennies in the difference. I'm not too worried about it. And just as an example, yeah, so exactly what I said. I said don't pay attention to pre-market an hour or two before, and then look what happened. It was at $1.20, and then 2 hours later into the open, it faded it all back. So I wouldn't even look at pre-market unless you're trading pre-market. There's certain brokers where you can trade pre-market, but if you don't have the ability to trade pre-market and you're just looking at it just for the sake of looking at it, I wouldn't even bother looking at it until it's like 15 minutes before the open. Head and Shoulders, yeah, hopefully not, but it's very possible. And like I said, MSOS is a clue that we could be heading there, but MSOS closed at 420. Yay! Yeah, it's not looking good. MSOS. So, alrighty. It's getting warm in here. Normally I keep the window open, but I think it might not even go under $1. Actually, there must be so many orders in the 97 to 101 area that market makers probably don't even want to trigger these orders. Yeah, I didn't look at level 2, but I don't know. I don't like the look of MSOS here at all. And that overhang of CGC, if they do their reverse split again and the shareholders approve it, yeah, that'd be a pretty sour taste in everybody's mouth again. And again, if we don't get any news, which there's a lot of speculation that they're going to wait until after FOMC, which is Wednesday, right? Rate decision. So they might wait until after the rate decision. And MSOS closed right at the low of the day today. It is up slightly here after hours, but we closed right at the low of the day today. Still yet to see the EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. We're confirming the daily head and shoulders downtrend. Bear flag, not good. This is pretty bearish. So like I said, unless we get some Tillray specific news, it's probably going to follow the rest of the sector. And unless we get sector news like rescheduling update or confirmation, we're probably just going to continue to drift. And yeah, unfortunately it is what it is. But like I said, if we were to dip below $1, I don't think it would be very long-lived. I think it'll be a very fast and yeah, even like I said, people today that I was talking with in the Power Group private community, like, oh, you know, if it goes under $1, I'm buying. And I'm loading the boat at 90, 80 cents, right? So yeah, weekly time frame looking good. Let's see if we can do the VFF style here and do 2 weekly bull flags back to back. All right. Added some yesterday. Nice. We need some good news to spark the fire. Yeah. I didn't start the fire. When is the vote for CGC on the reverse split? That's September 26th is the special meeting. Added some more because of you, Rod. If MJ is rescheduled, I'll send you flowers. I live in New York, but I'm originally from Holland. That's awesome. Well, glad I could be of help. And yeah, just make sure you're buying it because you believe in it, and you're not just doing what I do or buying stuff because I say or write about it. Make sure that you believe in it, and see if it's right for you. And if it is, then great. But appreciate that. Not much of a flowers guy, but certainly wouldn't turn it down. Unless you meant a different kind of flowers. Just can't say that on here, right? You don't want to make yourself a target. I get it. He's smart. Thank you, Herman. Richard says, doesn't the Canadian budget come out next month? Excise tax could be pretty decent catalyst alongside S3. Yeah, so I think they keep delaying it. I honestly stopped paying attention to it. I'm kind of like the CEOs that I have been interviewing. When I ask them about excise tax, they're like, not holding my breath. We're not dependent on that. We're not relying on that. We're focusing on being profitable in the current landscape, in the current environment, in the current market that we're in, and the regulations that we're in. And anything else that happens beyond that is just a bonus, right? Because realistically, if excise tax changes, the only thing that's going to change is the companies that are struggling might not struggle, and it might make the barrier of entry a little easier. But I even doubt that because there's such limited licensing now, and the cost of licensing is going up, the tariffs, the cost of inflation, everything's going up. So it's just getting harder and harder for companies to start. And like all these other companies like Tillray in 22 countries, right? It's like, good luck. They've got such a fast start and head start, right? So, but if, for example, using Tilray, if excise tax improvement happened, and it's switched to a percentage fee instead of a flat rate fee, then that's just more money on the bottom line. Like, Tilray doesn't change anything that they're doing, right? So realistically, it's irrelevant. It's not even it's not even a thought in the back of their head because nothing's going to change. They're just going to continue to do what they're doing in Canada. Maybe they might focus a little bit more on the Canadian market a little bit more. But realistically, it's not going to really do anything different. Like, these companies aren't going to have to adjust any kind of strategy or anything like that for the most part. It's just going to be more money in the bank at the end of the day, right? But I agree. It could come out. Like I said, I've been a strong believer that we're probably going to get excise tax reform in Canada around the same time that 280E goes away, which rescheduling to Schedule 3 would do that. And it's funny that we do have the budget coming out right around the same time as rescheduling, so that's very possible. That's a good point. Justin in the house. Happy Friday. Hope you're good as well, man. My bags are already packed, but if it dumps under $1, I'll have no choice but to add. Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I lost my spot. It keeps doing that every time someone comments something. I love analysis. The TLRY MSOS pairing to know if one is overvalued versus the other. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with TradingView, you can just denominate it in whatever you want. So you can do Tilray USD, which is normal, sorry. I'm thinking of crypto. Excuse me. You can do Tilray divided by CGC. You can do Tilray divided by MSOS. And you can see denominated in MSOS that we're gaining tons of momentum against the ETF MSOS. If you look in the monthly, though, we're just coming out of this long period of being under, like, devalued, essentially, I guess. But With that being said, we are close to seeing a monthly MA 12 and 26 bull cross, which would only be the second time. I guess there was another one here, but mini one, but it's only be the third time in history. We're seeing a weekly MA 12 and 26 bull cross now. So yeah, that's interesting. The whole thought about the budget and I'm having a blank here. What is it? Excise tax. So the fact that that's happening right around the same time of rescheduling is just around the corner. You never know. Could happen soon. And we know that, like in Canada, when both the candidates were running for prime minister, they were all talking about, like, all of the really narrative was lower taxes, right? And we're even seeing that in the U.S. now, where the new administration is like, they want to get rid of income tax and use the tariff money and things like that. So, and the funny thing is income tax used to be temporary. It was supposed to be like a temporary thing. And then they were like, oh, well, screw that, right? We're making money hand over fist here. But it is a daily bull flag here on, we're pretty choppy, but we still held it. It's probably more visible on the 2-day time frame, but I already charted this? Crazy. I don't even remember doing that. Must have been a while ago. Well, not that long ago, because this is the daily time frame. But yeah, it was an ascending triangle. Look how crazy that is. So I hadn't looked at this in a very long time. But before we think of that, I'll finish this thought here. So we have our low, high, higher, low, perfect hold of the 0.32 fib. We even came back down, held it again. Now we're bouncing. So if we get above resistance there at 28.6 cents, then we're looking at around 32 cents. But yeah, I kind of remember it now, actually. I can't remember if it was somebody in the Powder private community or if it was a live stream. Maybe it was even you, Mep. I don't know. It probably was. But yeah, here's the ascending triangle. So I mentioned this earlier in the video. Descending triangles, a series of lower highs, horizontal line of support, break down to the downside. But since this is a regular scale, it's an ascending triangle with a series of higher lows and a horizontal line of resistance. So you take your measured move there from the apex of that, essentially, and you've got a measured move up to 25 cents. And look where we hit, 25 cents, 25 cents. And then it's just been basically, we had a couple bursts to the upside here, but we just kept coming back down right to it, a very high point of interest. So yeah, we were given multiple weeks heads up. This was back in first week of July where we started to see some momentum, and then we had a fake out here, and then we went again, and then saw the real move. And I don't even think it's done yet. Like I said, the daily time frame, looking at a daily bull flag into higher highs, so it's going to be interesting. And again, like, Tillray's just, if we get news, right, if it's even if it's rescheduling, Tillray's on the U.S. major exchange. It's going to get a very lot of volume. And in one day in March, I think it was in like 2022 or maybe it was 2021. I can't remember. It was at least a few years ago. It was like $2.5 billion traded in one day just on the NASDAQ. That's not factoring in the Toronto Stock Exchange and everything else. Just absolute mind-boggling. But if you haven't seen this video, just go to YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, click on video, and rescheduling impact. So I discuss how will rescheduling impact Tillray. I get that question all the time, and it's pretty crazy to me that people don't understand. Like I went over 4 major reasons why. Obviously, being on a U.S. major exchange. They're not going to stop at rescheduling. They're going to eventually probably deschedule it, which will be massive for Tillray. You're going to see just the overall sentiment change, right? Anyway, I'm not going to go over and rehash everything that I went through in that video. Check it out. It's only short too. It was 8 minutes. All right, moving right along. Drink some more of this delicious beer. My Tillray gains today offset my MSOS losses. Awesome, Gary. Yeah. MSOS. So we're starting to see like the days where one will be strong, the other one will be weak. And yeah, sometimes you have leaders and laggards, and sometimes the U.S. names will run, sometimes the or pull back, and then the Canadian MJ names will run, or sometimes U.S. MJ will be up more and MJ will be up slightly, but they're both still up. But we've been seeing that it's not like, oh, 2 U.S. names are bullish and the rest of the U.S. names are bearish and Canadian MJ's bearish. It's usually like all or nothing, one or the other. It's like either it's Canadian day or a U.S. MJ day. And it's pretty evident here looking at this leaderboard here today that it was a Canadian day. You got Tilray, VFF, High Tide. So who knows, maybe Canadian High Tide sales are going to be good coming on earnings. We'll see. I like the news on the crackdown on the illegal market. Chinese operators clean up illegal and reschedule and regulate. Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, a lot of those, the things that they were talking about earlier with the MJ rules and hemp rules, those are all like the previous administration, right? So I think they just want to have a clean slate, wipe it clean. And they probably know that more broader reform is coming. So, you know, just makes it. Plus there was like, one of the codes had this similar code as rescheduling. But, yeah, it was, I forget the exact intricacies of it, but yeah, it was one of the rules had like the similar code as rescheduling. Okay, where am I at here? But yeah, like those products, those Chinese products and like vapes and whatnot, they're illegal in China. And what they're doing is they're taking it to the US and selling it in the US. It's legal, it's illegal in their own country, but yet they're coming to the US and selling it in the US. It just doesn't make any sense. So that would be lovely. 3 to 5, holding through the weekend. Thoughts on all the raids of illegal vapes around the country? Yeah, so again, that's a great sign that they're going to crack down on the illegal side, the illicit market, and focus potentially more on the safer side, right? Why not? Like anybody with a brain, literally any, like 1% of a brain would know it's way better to regulate it, have safe tested product, than to let anything and everything roam the streets. It's pretty ridiculous, actually. It just hurts my brain to think about for any longer than a couple of minutes. Nothing burger, or should it help? I wouldn't say it's anything really too great either way. It's not really super great, not really super bad either. It's just, you know, I guess you could say it's more of a positive than a negative. It's not like they're cracking down on vapes in general. It's they're cracking down on the ones with questionable ingredients and stuff, right? Things that aren't approved, and it's only trending towards a regulated market. Yeah, exactly, which is great. Yeah, like I don't think the news like really, you know, it's not gonna like impact the prices too much. But like I said, we were told that rescheduling was in the cards and that they supported it. Then we were told that they were going to have a determination in the next few weeks. So again, now the market has been primed, right? We're sort of spoiled, and we were dangled a carrot, and then if we don't get equal as good as that or better news, it'll be either we'll just continue to fade, or we might have a slight pop and then a fade, right? So this news with the illicit vapes, well, was that equal to rescheduling to Schedule 3 or better? No. So price continues to fade. That's how I look at it. So, and as I said on previous videos, if no news is bad news, right? Psychoactive component infused beverages at sporting events alone would be a cash cow. Yeah, they're already doing it. Yeah, it's already happening. Is it correct thinking to assume that market cap could hit the same amount it was when the stock was at $25 in 2021? By that math, with the amount of outstanding shares, it could hit $11. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's absolutely the right way to think about it, because people like to think of, oh, if the price was once here, it can go back there. Well, you have to take into account dilution, right? So the amount of shares have gone up, so therefore it takes more money to get us back to where we were. But in terms of market cap, yeah, that's definitely what you want to be basing it on. So yeah, totally logical. Cureleaf is bringing MSOS down. What are your thoughts on Cureleaf? Yeah, so again, Cureleaf just had such a massive move. I just posted a video as well on it yesterday, my exit plan. But yeah, it looks pretty much the same as MSOS, head and shoulders. So, but yeah, I mean, this is what happens, right? When you're, look at that chart, that SpaceX rocket ship right there. But yeah, we had no weekly support all the way down to $1.10, or sorry, $1 on Cura. So we literally had no support to $1, and we hit $5. So we went from $1 to $5. Yeah, like this thing could easily pull back 40%. And from the top here to where we are now, we're down 34%. So yeah, we're almost at 40%. If we were to pull back 40%, that'd put us at EMA 12 there on the weekly time frame. So again, if you know nothing about charts, and you just use EMA 12, EMA 26. You can use EMA 4 and 8 if you're like a day trader. You're on the like 1 minute chart, 5 minute chart, etc. But this just factors in more data. But just look what happens when you put in this EMA 12 and 26 EMA. Look what happens when you get extended to the upside. You come back, you test it as support. You get extended to the upside, you test it as support. You get extended to the downside, you test it as resistance. So anytime we get extended to the upside, like we did here, you need to expect, okay, well, we're probably going to come back down at some point, but no one knows where you're going to top out, right? Some people were saying, well, we might top out at 250, we might top out at 3, we might top out at 4, and yeah, it just went on a complete tear, right? And that's what happens when you're down so much. Same thing with Tilray, and we've been beaten down, absolute piss beat out of us, and look what happens, right? You see this long, drawn-out bear market, and it feels like it's forever. And yeah, this all happened in just a couple of months, right? It's usually how it is. It's like 3 or 4 years plus of bear market, and then the bull market's, you know, it's usually like a year or two max. Especially in these new nascent industries that are very, very populated with retail investors, right? And passionate retail investors. That's the kicker, right? Reason why crypto and MJ are so, reason why the bear markets are so brutal and they see like 80-90+% corrections all the time, and it spans like 3 or 4 years, is because there's a lot of passionate people about it, and it takes a lot to break them, right? It takes a lot to make them second guess their thesis and capitulate and just, you know, tap out, if you will, right? People are like, oh, you know, I don't care if Tilray drops 50%. I'm a long-term holder. It's down 80%, and they're like, maybe I was wrong about this, right? Down 90%. Oh, okay, now I'm fucking angry, right? So it's designed that way, right? All right, let's go through a little quicker here. 11 sounds sweet. Crazy dilution, though. Yeah, exactly. Just with Schedule 3, how high do you see us going? $5. I can see us going to 10, 20, 40 with full legalization. Yeah, I mean, that's a broad range. But yeah, I think $5 to $7 if we get rescheduling, $5 to $7 easily. It's not going to happen like the second it gets rescheduled or anything like that. Probably going to see safer banking. You're probably going to see other reform, banking reform. You'll probably see uplisting eventually, right? And then, yeah, if, like I said in the video and the reasons why, rescheduling impact, Tilray could be in the medical market in 60 to 90 days, they said. So if you get rescheduled to Schedule 3, that, voila, we have medical. $100%, but based on the math, that would be the same market cap. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, you don't want to look at the price. You want to be looking at market cap. Yeah, like if Tilray went to $67, the high of February 2021, the market cap would be much, much higher, right? So yeah, you don't want to be factoring in, you don't want to be focusing on the price so much as, but as the market cap. It's great, and thank you very much. No problem at all. Love the everyday videos. We'll watch and like. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Like the video, folks. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. Once again, Brian says you have been doing an excellent job with your chart predictions. Well, thank you very much. That's That's a lot of hard work. Yeah, I've been studying charts pretty much, daily. Sometimes 4 or 5, 6 hours a day for the last really 7 years. So, I've always kind of like been following. I've been in finance for like 15 years, but I never really dove into the charts and technical analysis much until about almost a decade ago now. But like I said, for like 2 or 3 years, I was like, the first year or two, I was completely lost. And then in year 3, it was just like light bulb, aha moment. And I thought after year 2 that I knew what I was doing. And then in year 3, I was just like, oh, it's like pronouncing, you're learning French and you're pronouncing this word and someone's like, you're not saying it right. And they're like, I don't know, la chaise. And then you're like, la chaise. And then they're like, you're not saying it right. And you're like, yeah, I am. And then eventually one day you're like, oh, I had like a syllable off or something like that, right? It just you have that belief in your head that you're doing it right, but people who actually know the full ins and outs of it are like, no, like you're still messing it up. So you can be unaware. That's how it was like. Yeah, I thought I knew what an uptrend and a downtrend was, and then just one day it clicked, and I was like, oh my god, did I have this wrong the whole time? And yeah, I'm not always right. Like obviously, with the charts, there can be black swans and everything like that. But yeah, I appreciate it. High Tide says Monday. Yeah, and then it said on Tuesday on NCV. TradingView. Yeah, TradingView, I don't really pay attention to it too much. It's usually always wrong. Closer to the date, it tends to be correct, but like I would say it's wrong like 60 or 70% of the time. Good news is coming on Thursday next week. Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, it really doesn't it makes no difference to me. Like, and to be honest, like the U.S. government is like the longer they stall with reform, the better it is for Canadian operators, really, and Tilray, because they're just going to continue to grow in Canada. They're going to continue to grow in 22 countries, right? The U.S. is plagued by saturation, competition, high tax with 280E, and yeah, just a very difficult market because each state is different, right? Molson Coors got out of the partnership with Hexo and Tilray because they just said, you know what, screw this. Like this, there's too many regulations state to state. It's too onerous. It's too much of a logistical nightmare and regulations, and you got lawyers up the wazoo. So they said they'd get back into it eventually when the time is right. But yeah, like it's a blessing in disguise, really, I think, for these Canadian operators. And that's why I think, all these major corporations and investors are picking the Canadian LPs predominantly, right? Because they know that they've been, and not only that, they're battle tested, right? They've operated under a legal framework. There's so much unknowns in the U.S. The only U.S. name that I'm bullish on, honestly, is Curaleaf. And they operate in Canada. They have Northern Green Canada, so they bought a Canadian LP. And they have tons of operations in Europe and across the globe. So they're very similar to Tilray. And that's the only one in the U.S. that I'm bullish on. So, yeah, I can't really be bullish on any other one. Like, Tilray operates in more countries than 99% of U.S. operators operate in states. So if Tilray operates in more countries than 99% of the U.S. MSOs operate in states, what does that tell you? They got a long road ahead of them. And even Curaleaf said if like a name like TruLeaf were to replicate what they've done internationally, they would have to spend around $400 to $500 million. That's $500 million just to do what Curaleaf has done in the international markets outside of the U.S. Guess what TruLeaf has on its balance sheet? Like $400 million. So what's it going to have to do? Spend a ton of cash, tons of capex, dilute, right? Buy another operator. That's probably going to cost more dilution or dipping into their cash, obviously. So yeah, the writing's on the wall as far as I'm concerned. Is it worth betting on some of the other U.S. names? Maybe, I guess. I just, yeah, I'm not looking for, and I get a lot of people asking me about like, oh, this, really small cap name. It's like a $5 million market cap or a 10 million or a 20 million or 30 million. And I'm just like, there's so many good deals in MJ right now. I'm focusing on the tier ones, right? I want the cream of the crop. I want the like the Tillray, right? This thing was at like 500 million or like 600 million, and I said there's no business being here, right? Tilray should not be a $500 million market cap company. It should not be at 30 cents, and then here we are today. It's at a billion and a quarter market cap, so 1.25 billion. So it's over doubled its market cap in a very short period of time. Rod, you're the man. Appreciate the time you put in. Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate the support. It goes both ways. In America, because the stigma, they'll do medical first, and then 2 years later, they'll legalize. Yeah. Well, there was a clip with Seth Rogen, and he was talking about, it was like an ABC thing. Let me put it in the chat. Yeah, I think I shared it yesterday. Here it is. And it was like 8 minutes, so I won't play it because I got to get going here soon. But I'll put it in the chat. So there's the video with Seth Rogen, and I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but basically, he was like, the reason why they're not legalizing MJ is because of money. And I think he said like, oh, there's like common sense and science and maybe something else. And he's like, the only other thing I can think of is money, right? And it's so true. And then Joe Rogan was talking about it and was saying like, there's some issues where, they make more money keeping it illegal than they do having it legal, at least for now, right? And because they're funding the opposition, right? They get a lot of funding with regards to anti-legalizers, right? Like prohibitionists. So it's an interesting concept, but it's 100% about money and control. Like if anybody else tells you anything different, oh, it's about the safety of the American people. No. Like that's bullshit. Okay, I can go smoke myself crazy. I can drink myself crazy. Like in Canada, I just found this out yesterday. There's a cap now on how much crypto you can buy. But guess what? Get this. There's 2 that you're allowed to buy as much as you want of. You can buy as much Bitcoin and as much Ethereum as you want. But the other ones, like half of Canada, I think like 6 provinces, like in Alberta, you can buy as much as you want. There's no cap per year. But the rest of Canada and like certain provinces, it's like you can only buy 30,000 a year. I was like, oh my God. Like, unless you're accredited, if you're accredited, you can buy as much as you want. And I mean, like, for the most part, people probably shouldn't even be investing most people shouldn't be investing more than 30,000 in a year anyway. But it's just so crazy to me that, but you can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? It's because it's all about money. It's all about keeping us out for as long as possible. And then when they finally let us in, they're like, oh, well, you can come in, but not too much, right? We want to buy those other ones, but we're done buying Bitcoin and Ethereum. So you can buy as much of that one as you want because we're selling those and we're buying the other ones. Like you can tell, right? It's such a freaking rigged game and just absolute nonsense. I can go to a casino and mortgage my home and waste all of my money, but yet there's nothing stopping. Like it's so frustrating, folks. I hate the government. I hate politics. Hate the government. They're all terrible, as far as I'm concerned. Like, oh my God, I can't stand it. Just makes my blood boil. Definitely nothing going to happen soon right after Charlie Kirk. Yeah, that's terrible. Could have altered the timeline. Yeah, I mean, their focus is definitely elsewhere right now. Yeah, I have to be careful with what I say because if this isn't any, I mean, you should not talk about your opinions. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just what good is going to come from me talking about what I believe in a specific political idea, and if it's in the US, I'm Canadian, people are gonna be like, what do you know, you're Canadian. So it's like, it's really all for nothing. But like, it's just, it's so crazy. Like, and hopefully this, like, the next time you see somebody on social media, or the next time you catch yourself doing this, where, you know, you're beating somebody down just because they have a different opinion than you, maybe stop and think, this is a human being here that I'm talking to. They have every right to have whatever opinion they want ever, right? So we have to be united. Like, there's so many companies and corporations and organizations that profit off the division, right? And some people just thrive off of it, unfortunately. But yeah, I seen a video there. I think it was the diary of a CEO, and there was Ray Dalio on there talking about how we're heading into a very, 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 very dark time, especially in the US and the UK. And you know, it's weird. I always thought that the US created crypto because the patent for SHA-256 is actually owned by the NSA, and that's military grade encryption, which is HTTPS when you go to any website. And going off in the rabbit hole here, but probably that's what Bitcoin uses, right? So probably the U.S. government or some sort of governments, and then Raoul Pal, however you pronounce it, he said he believes that it was the UK government and the US government that created Bitcoin and crypto. So weird how those two markets are believed to be going into the darkest days. But again, I think that's because they're the two biggest powers, really, because they're the Commonwealth and everything, right? And like Canada, and it's yeah, it's gonna be a crazy time. Just be prepared. That's all I gotta say. True, great. Tilray earnings gonna hurt the stock. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything major from Tilray earnings until most of their debt's paid off. Until then, they'll just keep continuing to pay down debt, and until they hit major profitability. Thanks for your time, bro. Loving these videos and updates. I feel after Schedule 3, you'll have a lot of updates to show. Absolutely. The dopamine hit when we were all up 200% in a day on rescheduling will be crazy. Yep. I think having the U.S. taking so long actually benefits Tilray. Yeah, exactly what I said, right? As they had more time to expand and get all the foundations in place and dominate the U.S. market once it opens up. Oh my God, yeah. The distribution, the branding, their success in Canada or around the world. There's not even going to be, like I said, the only close second to Tilray is Curaleaf. And Curaleaf, yeah, hard to say. I still like Tilray better, but I haven't tried much Curaleaf products at all. Just from like kind of the looks of it, though, I don't really see anything too awesome about it. But all right, I'm gonna start wrapping it up. I do think though Curaleaf's products are like way better than majority of all the other MSOs. From South Africa, we appreciate your everyday live. That's awesome. I appreciate you joining. Got a nice amount of call/buy options on Tilray. Is this a good strategy? Personally, I don't like. I don't like buying options just because you're already in a very risky sector. Why would you want to incur risk of total loss, and why would you want to factor in time, right? If you just buy and hold, you don't have to factor in time, and you don't lose any money until you sell. Whereas if you buy options, selling options is different. If you want to sell calls and puts, that's different. Collect a premium, money for nothing, great. But yeah, buying it, risk of total loss, and if you're wrong about the timing, yeah, I just don't see the point. Yeah, you're already in very, very risky instant gratification world, and you're in a risky sector, so I would just rather hold the common shares. Be different if we were at all-time highs or 52-week highs or something, but when we're down 99% from the all-time highs, like Oxley, for example, if you bought Oxley at a penny, it goes back to all-time highs, that's $300,000 if you put $1,000 in, so a 300x. So how many thousands of dollars do you need to be, life-changing? And Tilray, the same thing, like, could easily go up 100x, right? $1,000 into $100,000 when we were at 30 cents there. So I'd much rather just buy and hold the common shares, be a shareholder, support the company, hold it long term, less stress. I wonder how the Italian market is doing, and we haven't been hearing anything about Germany. Curious to see how. Yeah, they got first entry into Italy, and they increased their products actually in Germany, some new strains. And yeah, definitely keeping up demand. I think they flipped Masson facility, so they were doing like veggies and stuff like that in there. And I think Jean Guy was like the major one there strain. Yes, Italy, me too. I wonder if the revenue will be a nice bump in the next earnings. Probably not, but maybe in a couple quarters. Justin, I do not think Trump will let Tillray import MJ to the United States. Why do you think they need to import? In the interview that I did with Erwin Simon, he said if they legalize in the U.S., we could buy a U.S. operator. So there would be no import at all. They would just spin up operations in the U.S., buy a company, merge with a company. There's no need to send it across the border. And then they would be factoring in tariffs. So why would they want to do that? It's like all of their beer. They say beer made here, no tariffs. We're not impacted by tariffs. Tilray even put a press release out. So why would they own the MedMen IP? So why would they do that, right? They would just build stores in the U.S., maybe even utilize the MedMen brand. And like he said in the interview, he'd probably do a license deal and franchise it out. So the McDonald's of MJ, I'll take that all day long. Again, like I understand the thought process, like, and it's like when people say, "Oh, well, rescheduling doesn't benefit Tilray," but we can't. Like, again, we have to think outside the box, right? We can't just be in an echo chamber on social media and go off what somebody else says. Like, you have to think, right? Put yourself in their shoes. Look at other sectors. Look at tobacco. Look at alcohol. Like, those have free reign. Do you think MJ is going to be any different? Why would it be? It's not the way the world works. And yeah, they would just, if it's legal, they just go buy another company. They can't right now because they're listed on the NASDAQ. They can't have plant touching businesses. But if it's legal, there's no stopping. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Maybe that'll be my Tilray video for tomorrow. Tilray video, import to US. Okay, I'll do that one tomorrow. Thank you for the video idea. Appreciate that, Thomas. Love the updates. When Schedule 3 drops, your vids will be that more important. Absolutely. Well, I'm not just making content when it's good for the algorithm. It's good for me. I'm making videos all the time. It doesn't matter if we're in a 4-year brutal bear market or a 5-year bull market. I'm through the thick and the thin. And it's quite often in the depths of the bear markets that people need the reassurance and updates even more. Whereas a lot of other YouTube channels, they'll blatantly tell you, oh no, we don't make content on MJ because it's not good for our YouTube channel. It's not good for analytics. What they're saying is we don't make any money off of it. And we don't want to look like idiots covering it when it's down, right? We only want to cover it when there's good, right? It's just, I think that's shameful, just absolute terrible. People literally telling people they only want to cover it whenever it's popular is like the biggest FU ever. And I don't have any respect for anybody who says that. Just like, have a goddamn care about other people, would you? Like, is this so difficult of a concept to just care about others and not only your effing self? Like, it's just, yeah. Anyway, we were on the topic of Charlie earlier too, and it just fires me up. It's just, man. Karma's real though, so it'll get them. What do you think will happen on September 22nd when the Curaleaf gets on the TSX? So it's not the TSX, it's the composite index. They're not joining the S&P 500. Like Robinhood just joined the S&P 500. Or you said TSX. You mean S&P 500 index? They're already on the TSX. Go to Curia here, TSX. It's already on the TSX. Anyway, I'm planning on doing a video on that soon, so I'll answer that in another video. Gonna run through here. Damn, I am in time. Mankey's in the house. You got a Pow Group private community member, YouTube member, every member. He's got all the memberships. Thank you very much, my man. Earnings are October 9th. Yeah, I haven't seen any official earnings from Tillray yet. Again, I wouldn't pay attention to TradingView. 0.5 point rate, 50 basis point cut and rescheduling would be awesome. It would send the stock soaring. Yeah, I don't know about that. 50 basis point cut would be like kind of like a bad signal, I think, because people would be like, oh, the economy must be really bad. I think 25 is the most likely scenario. It would be the best thing, and then a series of cuts over the next few months into 2026, and probably bring it down by about a point, at least a percentage point. But yeah, obviously great timing. Rod the man, thank you, Misty. Hope he sends tulips. Yeah. I can think of some better flower, but yeah. Tilray is a big player in so many countries. I am proud. I wait until it exploded like 3 years ago in 3 days. In 3 days from $5 to $60. Yeah, exactly. That's how quickly things can change. Man, I'm sweating. All right, gonna run through quicker here. Hugs, not drugs. I grabbed some on the low of MSOS today, kind of hoping a bit more pullback on Monday would be nice. So I don't want to have unrealistic expectations, but could this squeeze to 25 to 30 USD? I mean, anything's possible. Keep in mind that the float, the float is the share count's much higher now, so it's going to take a lot more dollars coming in. But I think $5 to $10, very realistic. Maybe 42. Damn, massive dude. If you go back on the charts, if it goes full legal and everything, I mean, $300 again doesn't seem impossible. Yeah, I wouldn't be holding my breath for that. It'd be a while. Like I said, you got to factor in dilution, and market cap's a better way to look at it. Not financial advice, of course. If it's legal 100%, it would be $500. Yeah, I'll be fully happy with $100. I think factoring in market cap 13 now, 300 back in the day, but new actual news could push this to new levels, especially with new institutional action. Yeah, well, just imagine the U.S., right? Like, so much opportunity. CGC's been holding up well this week. No, not really. I don't think so. It's been down quite a bit. Or you mean just like this week? It's an inside bar, so it's within the last week range, but from the high of 2 weeks ago to the low of last week, it was down 31%. So pretty much all names down around the same. But yeah, you're right. It's a weekly inside bar, so we're just within last week's range. I hear Carter Hart is going to be looking for a team soon. I bet you guys will pick him up. Finally get a good goalie for McJesus. That'd be sick. Yeah. I would love that. Thanks for all your work. My pleasure. It's not really work whenever it's your passion, right? So I encourage everybody to find something they're passionate about, and you'll never work a day in your life. Edmonton rep. Absolutely. Love it. Long live King Tillray. You bet. All right, gonna go through this real quick here. Tillray for all. Missed most of your live content. Will you post a video? Yeah, I'll be posting videos all the time. But yeah, I have to do a video on that import question, because that was a great question. I wonder if Schedule 3 substances would still fall into the realm of NASDAQ restrictions, which keep Tillray from fully participating in state legal markets. I might have to read the fine print. Yeah, I don't think anybody really knows. And as far as I'm aware, like, I think I don't even know if there's anything like fully preventing them. If it's just a NASDAQ decision, I don't know. There's so much conjecture and misinformation all the time, but at the end of the day, it'll happen when they're damn well ready. Not because of the people or whatever, right? It's all on their agenda, their political agenda. Or safe banking, all the above. Yeah, so I think we need some verbiage is what we need for those, especially safe banking for sure. But uplisting, that's a completely different story. I think we would have to have some sort of like safe harbor. But again, I'm 12 years short of the law degree, so Oxley going over the next year or two. Wait, Oxley going to rocket over the next year or two. Yeah, exactly. I would agree. Tilray, CGC, Curaleaf are my holdings. Very nice. I own all of those as well. Tilray's my number one, then Curaleaf's my second. Buy more Tilray friends. Cheap Tilray. Will never be so cheap. Monday Tilray will go up 20%. Hope you're right. Holding 45K Tilray shares till 2030. It'll be $45. Hope you're right again. I believe so much in it. My ex got 5 years. Go that drops already. since I watched them and it helped her. My ex got 5 years ago. That drop already. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but sounds positive. Thank you for helping others. I already put a sell order at $65 in. I don't want to miss if it explodes like 2021. Yeah, keep in mind those sell orders. They expire sometimes, and usually they don't let you do it for that high. So I'm surprised that it did, but I guess different brokers do different things. But yeah, check the time limit on it. Some of it's only like 90 days. It's good until canceled, or sometimes it's like good until canceled, but it like maxes out at 90 days. So just check that. I believe I already put. Okay, got that one. Gonna be a crazy portfolio from the look of it. Dead ass dropping off a cliff. The world's biggest rebound. Hello, Rod. Germany's Tillray's team working hard. In Switzerland coming the next move for Tillray. Absolutely. And you got France. You got everywhere ramping up right now. So Italy. Oh, it's going to be a fun couple of years and decades. Hey, Rod, I'm looking to pick up some Tilray shares. It appears as if we may still go down a bit more, but it seems to be probably pretty close to a low as it will never be again. Can you share? Yeah, I think maybe 90 cents is in the cards, but obviously we don't have a crystal ball. Again, anytime we're in a 4 or 5 year bear market and the prices are at 30 cents, down over 99% from all-time highs, you know, you're always going to get those people whenever things run 200, 300%. They're like, is now a good time to buy it? Or should I wait for a dip? It's like, well, the dip happened for the last 5 years and it's been down over 99%. So now's the time where things will just get pretty bananas, right? Like things could explode. And my dog's really annoying. It's cute, you know, but it's like, okay, every time a freaking an ambulance or a cop car or a fire truck drives by, he just mimics it. It's like, oh my god. And I live downtown, so it's just like every time you turn around, dog, stop it. Oh, what you're a nut. You're a nut. All right, I'm gonna end it here. But yeah, I would, again, like, Tilray at $1 is a steal in my opinion. Dog, stop it. Want to come say hi? Want to come say hi? Want to come say hi to like 100 people? Yeah. This is the guy that's always annoying Daddy. Yeah, he's a good little fellow though. Yeah. See it? All right. Some insight and opinion on what? Hello, hello. I was your first one. Remember? Absolutely, you sure were. You popped the membership cherry. All right. Yes, sell the order is in until July 2026. And my ex got this Tilray medicine before. Not to smoke, it was liquid. That's awesome. Well, good. You're all over it. You're on top of it. The option's set to expire next year, but I understand. Yeah, exactly. Love for the dog. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Except when he's on a leash. Then he turns into like Jekyll and Hyde. But he loves it. He never ever do anything bad to me. But yeah, if you're like a stranger and if he knows you, he loves you. But if you're a stranger, he will eat your ever-loving face off. It's weird. Especially when he's on a leash. I don't know. I took him to daycare one time, or doggy daycare, I guess. And yeah, I took him to the kennel when I was going on a trip, and the first thing was like, is he nice or aggressive, or like only went on a leash or something like that? And I was like, yeah, that option. I was like, so it must be pretty common for dogs. But yeah, he just completely different dog whenever you put him on a leash. But all right, I gotta run. I did not think this was going to be over an hour, but here we are, almost an hour and a half. So thank you everybody for joining, and happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend ahead, and we'll see you tomorrow. Gonna get that video out on Tilray and the whole importing into the US and what could potentially happen there. I already went over it a little bit earlier, but I'll do a video on that tomorrow. So thank you very much. I think it was Thomas for that idea. All right, have a good one, and we'll talk to you all soon. Much love. Take care.